Chapter 5. Albert. Albert rode his bike to work whenever he could. November had brought below freezing temperatures, but he could still bundle up and make it work. In another month or so, snow and ice would hold the world captive, and he'd be forced to drive his car like all the other sheeple. Where would he be in another month? By then, the launch would be old news, and the world would wait for news of the first settlers setting foot on Mars. The settlers would be big news, history makers. The folks children would read about in history books 1,000 years into the future. But what would Albert be? Just the guy who was left behind. He pedaled harder and gritted his teeth against the cold that bit into the skin of his face. They need people like me. They don't understand how much I can do for them. I need to tell them, this is the time. Carpe diem, Albert. Now or never. Go big or go home. A plan formed. When he arrived at the office, he'd lock up his bike, stop in the lobby restroom to tidy himself up, march into Jones's office, and announce that he deserved a spot on that ship. Resolve warmed his frozen bones and carried him along with the effortlessness of a bird in flight. He reached the office parking lot, wrapped the lock around the front wheel of his bike, and rammed his way through the big glass doors like an invading marauder. Adrenaline fogged his mind, and before he knew it, he was in front of Jones's receptionist. "I need to see him," Albert managed. Her red-painted lips formed a perfect, joyless smile. "I'd be happy to take a note and see if he's able to schedule an appointment." Albert's limbs buzzed and tingled. Maybe he'd pass out. God, don't let me vomit. "No, now! It's important!" "I'm sure it is. Mr. Jones's schedule is full of meetings regarding important matters. It's necessary for us to sort the important from the crucial." "I'm Albert Peters," he shouted, slamming his palms down on her desk. Why was he shouting? He didn't know, and he couldn't stop. "It's important. I'm important. He needs me." Behind him, a door opened with a click, and a gentle voice asked if everything was okay. Albert spun and met the gaze of John Jones. Tears sprang into his eyes, and he blinked fast to make them go away, certain he'd die of shame if he cried in front of this man. Words deserted him. He scrambled and clawed for any semblance of an intelligent sentence. "I'm Albert Peters. You need me." A fly passed between Jones and the overhead light fixture, sending a little black shadow across the space between the two men. Jones held out a hand, and Albert took it. The remaining shreds of control left him, and a tear spilled over his eyelid. "Everyone has their place in the food chain, Albert. Pond scum is no less important than a lion roaming the savannah. You are valued." Albert nodded, and without another word, left the office on legs that carried him along as if they operated separately from his will. He rode the elevator to the second floor and sat down in his cubicle. "John Jones values me. I am special. I knew it." He tugged a tissue from the box on his desk and blew his nose. He'd been thinking about the upcoming changes at work all wrong. The launch wasn't the end. It was the beginning. His eye fell on the calendar. He had a date coming up. His first real date it didn't do to dwell on how much time had passed. It was a blind date, but a date nonetheless. This was the one, no doubt about it. He felt it in his gut. He was a man of great value, and this woman would recognize his worth, and nothing would be the same for him ever again. John Jones said so. He said something like that.